Hey, everybody, and welcome to Chef AJ Live. I'm your host, Chef AJ, and this is where I introduce you to amazing people like you who are doing great things in the world that I think you should know about. Today's guest is Rebecca Matsil, and she is going to be talking all about sprouts and microgreens and how to grow them and where to get them. And she's also going to be making a very healthy and delicious recipe, a Pina Colada broccoli sprout smoothie. I've never had broccoli sprouts in a smoothie, so we'll see how this looks and tastes. Please welcome Rebecca to the show. How are you doing?
Hey, Chef AJ. Thank you for having me back. Super
my
excited.
pleasure. Yeah, it's been a while. Even Bailey's excited having you back. She's barking. So
Baby.
Putting sprouts in a smoothie, will that make it taste like broccoli?
Okay, so no, that's why I wanted to make this recipe for you guys today, because putting sprouts in smoothies is my new addiction, and it's like all of my clients' favorite things. Because you can't really taste them. It just adds crazy amounts of nutrients in and energy and cleansing. So it's kind of like a whole food plant-based supplement rather than putting like powdered green things into your smoothies or like protein powders. You're putting actual sprouts and microgreens in like these, so that you can get all of those vitamins and minerals 3 to 100 times the amount of nutrients in the adult plants are in the greens, in these microgreens and sprouts. So when you put them in, it's like you're having a whole food plant-based supplement.
I love it. Well, I think I love that because I've never understood protein powders. They don't exist in nature, and why people feel they need them is bizarre to me.
Yeah, I think that that's a big thing that's been on my mind and something that I've been talking about a lot recently too, especially in the fitness world. You know, everybody wants to have protein powders, and people who are consider themselves healthy, which I'm sure they are healthy, like no judgment whatsoever. But they think that the protein powder is the healthy thing to do, when in fact, the healthy thing to do is to have raw, fresh fruits and vegetables that are the whole point of the protein powder is that you can get higher levels of nutrients, right? Higher levels of protein, or the whole point of a green powder so that you can have this like concentrated that levels of vitamin A and B complex and C and D3 and zinc and magnesium, all these things that we want to support our immune systems and to help us with inflammation and all these things. But the problem is that you're expecting to get them from a powder, when in fact we should be looking to get these things from food as much as we can. And I think that like a lot of people don't know where to get that level of nutrients in food. You know, it's like, okay, I could have a salad with some spinach and iceberg lettuce and maybe a big salad too, but it's microgreens and sprouts that take it to the next level, because you're having it in its baby form, at its baby stage, where all, like here you can see, these are the sunflower greens. And these sunflower sprouts would grow, these are only 10 days old, and they have all of the vitamins and minerals and protein and enzymes that would be needed to grow the adult huge sunflower. So that being said, that's like a huge powerhouse in this one little tiny leaf. And this is really the future of superfoods and of powders and supplementing. You know, the supplementing industry has blown up to the point where it's almost criminal. Like, it's so expensive. And people do you know what I mean? Like, have you ever gone to like a chiropractor or a nutritionist that tells you to get like $400 worth of supplements a month? You know what I mean, right? And it's like, that doesn't seem right to me, you know, and this is what they're really prescribing. Do you have any like thoughts on that? It's something that
well, I think, you know, who was it that said, whenever there's a problem, look to nature. And if what isn't found in nature, I don't think we should be eating it. So for example, that's one reason I think oil is not a food. Sugar is not a food, and protein powder. This obsession with protein, first of all, is ridiculous. I've been vegan for 45 years and I've never worried about it. or, I don't, there was a thing a long time ago with Frances Moore Lepay where, and she retracted it, where she said, you have to eat certain things together. And that's not true. Plants have plenty of protein, and people need to learn that. It's such a $1 billion industry, the supplement industry and the protein powder industry. I think they're disgusting. I haven't even tried one. I don't even, they taste disgusting, and they're so gross, and they're usually sweetened with stevia. And
it's so true. And and it's, what's funny is like, even with the protein powders and green powders, the same, like when you taste them, when you're spoiled with just having, not even spoiled, but if you're used to having lots of spinach in your smoothie, or having lots of microgreens in your smoothie, having lots of fresh produce and never having the powders, which is like me, I've never had the powders. When people give me a powdered smoothie or juice or shake, they like to call them, right? Like these shakes. I can't, my palate isn't adjusted to it. It just tastes so different to me. It doesn't taste good to me because there's nothing better than fresh, absolutely nothing better than fresh. And I think that people don't know, okay, fine, I understand that fresh is best, but how do I get the level of nutrients that I need with just fresh? They think that they can't, like you just said, with protein. They think just by having a plant-based diet, I can't get the level of protein that I need in order to be bulked and big at the gym. When in fact, plants themselves have protein, and that's the benefit of having the young plants, because they have an even higher level of protein than the plants that even maybe you didn't have sprouts always, and you were a healthy vegan. But imagine a vegan who's not used to having sprouts, adding that into their diet, they'll have another level of protein and vitamins and minerals that can increase their health.
Yeah, it sounds good to me. Now, do you recommend people grow them or buy them? Or
both? So we're located in New York. We are you can get packages like this from us of broccoli and of sunflower and pea, and wheatgrass, of course. We have, we can talk all about wheatgrass. Wheatgrass you can get by the tray or by the bag, and you have to get a juicer to juice it at home. So we ship countrywide. We're located in New York, and we deliver. We have 15 routes a week. So we go to every borough in New York. So if you're in the New York, New Jersey, Connecticut area, we can deliver right to your home with our refrigerated vans. If you're anywhere else in the country, we ship it to you overnight in a beautiful package with insulation and ice, and it's gorgeous. And you're like, oh, it's the most amazing package you've ever gotten of these amazing greens. And you're like, oh, I can't believe I could get those. And we just got our shipping rates down. We're working with UPS, all that stuff. So we're really trying to make this accessible countrywide for everyone to be able to get these fresh organic greens. But at the same token, simultaneously, you should learn how to grow it yourself, because of course the goal is to be economical and eco-friendly. So sprouting yourself is also pretty easy. So all you have to do is take the seeds. So the same seed that would grow to become broccoli or grow to become the microgreen, you take the seed, you soak it overnight in water. In the morning, you drain them so that there's no more water, and then you rinse it a couple times a day, and that's it. A little tail comes out. It now activates the enzymes in the living organism as a plant, and now it has all of the enzymes that are needed to help the plant to grow to maturity, but you're having it at this baby plant. So you get all of those enzymes before it's used up to grow. Does that make sense?
Yeah. How did you get so interested in this, Rebecca?
Okay, so my family owns this business. We are wheatgrass and microgreen growers in New York. They started it 40 years ago. And my parents started it in Brooklyn. They started growing wheatgrass and selling it to health food stores. And I grew up seeing the business grow. And now my brother and I, Aaron, just bought Perfect Foods. So it's officially my business. And we are co-owners, which is a really big deal because always I was just the owner's daughter, and now it's officially my baby and I can do whatever I want with it. And one of the main things that I want to do with it is to share with everyone the knowledge that I was given. I was given a really big gift to be born into a family that taught me this. I used to go to raw vegan retreat centers as a little girl. Instead of going to Disneyland, my parents would bring me to raw vegan retreat centers like Hippocrates and Optimum Health Institute, where we would just have, wheatgrass in the morning and wheatgrass in the afternoon. And sprout juices and sprout salads all day long. And this was like what I grew up with. So I got to see people heal themselves from autoimmune diseases and cancer and arthritis, inflammation, digestive issues, lose a ton of weight, feel more confident in their bodies, feel more energetic, and just like completely change their lives around in like 3 weeks. I got to see it with my own eyes as a little girl. So now I feel like I have all of this knowledge, and in a time that cardiovascular disease is the #1 cause of death, there's a, rampant immunity virus that's going around. And people are misinformed on how to be healthy, and also like misinformed with these powders and with everything artificial, and don't know how to get back to nature. So it's become my passion to teach people how to get back to nature and how to get back to the simplest superfoods. And there's so many cluttered superfoods in the market, and also like cluttered philosophies on health when it comes to like keto and paleo and pescatarian and all of these things, that it becomes very confusing. But my message, and this is like, if there's anything that you take from this, is just to add greens in. So that's why I created a 21-day greens challenge. So the challenge is to put microgreens and wheatgrass and sprouts or in your diet every day for 21 days and see how you feel. And you can do that by getting a purchase from us, or you can do that by growing it yourself. But you can just, make an appointment with me and I can help you to do that. But that's the challenge. Or you can get it locally wherever you are. But the challenge is to try and put greens into your diet every day, not to overwhelm yourself and restrict, but rather just add good things in. And then it pushes away the cravings for all the bad things. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. I love that because, not everybody is ever going to be 100% raw. I think few people will, but this would be good for everybody, whatever they're eating, to do.
Totally. So do you want me to make the recipe?
I sure do, but there's a question from Mona. Where do you get your seeds from?
Okay, so we get our seeds from sourced all over the country, from different places. So I don't even know where we get them from right now, but we source them throughout the year. And yeah, but they are organic, and you can get the seeds from us. We do sell the seeds.
Nice. Great. Go ahead.
You ready? Okay,
Yeah.
cool. Okay, so what I want to make for you guys today is a smoothie, and I just want to show you like how easy it is. So the first thing is, of course, cutting the pineapple, and you're just going to put 1/4 of a pineapple in. So you cut it in half, cut that in half again. Do a little slicing, bada bada boom, bada bada boom. And then I like to do. Okay, so you got just 1/4 of a pineapple here. And then I'm gonna go ahead and bring my smooth.
Do you use the outside of the pineapple?
No, I don't use the outside of the pineapple. Do you?
No, I don't. I was just wondering, because I know people that when they eat strawberries, they eat the green part of the leaf.
Oh, I do that. Yeah.
And when
that
they
would be cool. Maybe I'll start it again.
I had dinner once with Dr. Greger, and he ate like the outside of the kiwi as well.
Oh yeah. I also eat the outside of the mangoes sometimes.
Huh.
All right. So 1/4 of a pineapple, a full pear, and of course you're not juicing, you're blending. So you're going to take the seeds out. And this is just like a pro tip for all smoothies. Anything with pineapple makes all greens like cut the flavor. So you can barely taste the greens when you have pineapple in a smoothie. So if you're ever not liking your greens, this or that, just put pineapple in. Now I'm going to put my entire package of broccoli sprouts in, or broccoli microgreens, just so that you know the distinction between broccoli sprouts versus microgreens. These are microgreens because they were grown in soil, and they were grown to be 10 days old. Sprouts are the ones that you would grow at home that are, grown just in like a mason jar for 3 to 5 days. So these are 10 days ones in soil. The ones without soil that are around like 3 to 5 days, those are the sprouts. They both have like a similar nutritional level. The microgreens that we grow maybe have some more minerals in them from the soil and more chlorophyll from the light that they're under, but that's pretty much the difference. Okay, so I'm gonna put the entire package in. This has 2 ounces of microgreens in them. And according to cancer studies and therapeutic studies that have been done at Johns Hopkins University and University of Maryland, you wanna have about 2 ounces twice a day of microgreens in order to have a therapeutic amount. So that would be having 2 packages of this a day. And imagine how much nutrients I'm putting in this. That was an entire package. Each one of these little sprouts would grow to become a broccoli. Isn't that insane?
I can't believe that. Ah, that's amazing.
Hang on. Now I'm just putting about like maybe, hang on, like 6 ounces or so of water. Put some ice in. Bada boom, bada bing, and we mix.
You're doing the blender dance. That's what Jane Velez Mitchell does on her show. Mona, the links to her seeds are from her website. They're in the show notes. If you just look below this video, that's what show notes are. They're under the YouTube video. So if you're on Facebook, it's always best to go to YouTube to watch so you can see the chat and the show notes. Yes, Linda, those were broccoli sprouts she put in. So where's the colada part, Rebecca? The pina part is the pineapple. Where do you get in
the colada? This is just, the colada is whatever you want it to be, baby.
So no coconut then.
You can put coconut oil. I do put coconut oil sometimes, but I didn't want to say. I like to put coconut oil in the morning. Oh, you said that you don't like coconut.
No, our audience is strictly oil free.
Okay, so then you can put coconut meat too, and it does taste really good. But you don't. It tastes good either way. So that's the only other addition that you can have. But it pretty much looks the same. But you can see here how beautiful of a light green it is, and like just it's just like a gorgeous color. It's not like an overwhelmingly dark green. And when you taste it, cheers.
L'chaim.
L'chaim.
Santé. There's a question from Janet who's watching live. How powerful of a blender do you need?
For this recipe, not powerful. You can just use a Ninja. But of course, I'm always a fan of the Vitamix if you can afford one. And of course, and we have juicers online too, like, you know, because we have so this is just one recipe. And I wanted to just share this recipe with you guys just to see how easy and quick it is to have like a very nutrient dense meal. This could be breakfast, this could be lunch, this could be a snack. It's delicious, it's sweet, it's refreshing, and it's such a treat. So I really recommend everybody try this at home, seriously. There's something between the pear and the pineapple that's like the perfect blend. And yes, you can add coconut or coconut. Oh, the other thing that I do add sometimes is coconut water. I add coconut water too instead of water.
Yeah, that's a good idea. That would give it a little bit of a flavor.
Mm-hmm.
The colada part. Okay, I see a question from Debbie. How long did it take your wheatgrass to get that size? And how many days after sprouting should you use the sprout?
Okay. So this wheatgrass is the same seeds that would grow to become wheat. And we then take those seeds, we sprout them for a day, and then we put them into the tray of soil, and we leave them in the dark for a couple of days. And then we put light on them, and we'll leave them under the light for a few days. So altogether, from beginning to end, it takes 10 days. So that's 10 days to get the wheatgrass to be this length. And this is, you know, Perfect Foods quality wheatgrass. So if you're looking to grow wheatgrass at home, we sell wheatgrass growing kits that comes with the tray, the soil, and the seeds, and also a growing light and instructions on how to do it. So if like this is the beginning of you trying to grow wheatgrass or microgreens, I would really recommend to get our wheatgrass kit because it gets you like started off on the right track, and then you can get locally seeds and soil. But it gets you set up to make like a perfect tray of wheatgrass. You can make 4 trays of wheatgrass. We also have a sprouting, an advanced microgreen sprouting kit that comes so that you can grow wheatgrass, a sunflower tray. Let's see if I can show you this guy. Yay! A beautiful tray of sunflower like this. This tray of sunflower will give you 2.5 pounds of sunflower greens. And so you can make 4 trays of wheatgrass, 5 trays of sunflower, and 2 trays of broccoli, radish, and then lentil and mung bean sprouts. And it comes with the light, the tray, the soil, and the seeds. So that's like, if you're just interested in getting started and doing this, it's fairly inexpensive and it gives you everything that you need. And you were saying about sprouting, how long it takes, right? That was the question. So I was saying with broccoli microgreens, this takes from beginning to end about like 12 days. And with broccoli sprouts, it takes about 5 days. So yeah.
Wow, thanks. And Anne says, can you please share how you grow sunflower seeds? I do a lot of sprouts in jars. I love them, but don't know what soil to use for sunflower or mung or pea sprouts.
Okay, good question. Really good question, Anne. Here I am chomping on my pineapple. Are you guys gonna try this pineapple recipe, or are you just making me look like a fool? I hope we try it. Really, really good. Right, so how do you grow sunflower sprouts? Sunflower sprouts are actually sunflower microgreens. They're not sprouts because they're grown in soil. So you do need soil for them, and you need trays, which is why I was saying that you should get the kit. And basically you just need any old soil. It can just be from Home Depot, any kind of potty mix will be fine. And you need good sunflower seeds, which I really recommend you get the seeds from Perfect Foods from us, because we use them every day to grow our product. So anywhere else that you're getting from, you don't know that they're actually using it. It could be old. It could be, we're actually using it like that same day that we send it out. So you know that it's the highest quality. And then you need a tray. So that's for sunflower and pea. Those two do best in soil. And the reason for that being that they grow older, they're under the light, and they're going to be growing for like 10, 12 days. Lentil and mung bean seeds and sprouts, they don't grow in the soil. Okay, so lentil and mung bean, you don't put them in the soil, they don't grow well. They will just like grow in a jar of water or in a bowl of water that you strain. So those are completely hydroponic. You're just going to grow them without soil.
Cool.
That's the answer to that.
Thank you. And there is a question. Where did it go? Oh, where did I see it? Oh, Mona says, are you growing everything on a hemp pad?
No, we grow. So also just to give you guys an idea, we have a huge indoor growing facility. That's not just like in my house or like something. We have a really, really, one day, I think the next interview that I do, if Chef AJ will have me back on, is actually in the plants. So I can show you around to all the trays and like amazing, amazing view of all the greens. And we are really, really, really passionate about soil grown foods. So if you look at other people who are growing, in fact, Nice Cream King or Raw Natty, who is Raw Food Romance, Melissa Maris's husband on Instagram, he's been really getting into growing microgreens a lot at home himself, not commercially like we are, but he grows it at home himself. And he was experimenting with coconut husk and soil and hydroponic versus soil. And he actually said with us in an interview that it was like apples and oranges, and he couldn't even relate, that growing it in soil was like beyond the level of health and flavor to the microgreens than growing it in the coconut husk. Now, if you're just getting started and you want to play around with it, there's absolutely no problem to that. But if you're going to be using it therapeutically long term, it absolutely has to be soil grown. And And I do recommend that you get it from us directly for a short period of time, just to make sure. Is there anybody on here who is interested in learning how to get started with sprouts and wants to try and maybe like do the challenge and to do it, but doesn't know where to get it or how to get started?
I'll see if they type it in the chat. In the meantime, I can ask a few more questions, like how long do sprouts last?
In the fridge, they last like a week. Yeah, like a week. You want to keep them super dry. Put a nice paper towel in them and keep them in the refrigerator, and they'll last you for about a week. The sunflower and the pea last a little bit longer. They may last like 2 weeks. The smaller ones, they're a little bit more delicate, so they go quicker. The lentil and the mung beans, though, those, if you keep them dry, those can last like 3 weeks. Like they last a while. So the trick with that is make a bunch, like, you know, sprout like a whole cup of lentil seeds and make a bunch.
Nancy says, I would like to know more on how to do sprouts and use sprouts.
Thanks, Nancy. Cool. Yeah, so if you want to learn more about it, I'm like always available on Instagram and on Facebook and on our website. I also have like a link on our website, 800wheatgrass.com, where you can make an appointment with me, which is kind of like what I'm leaning towards everybody doing, because the more that I do this and I'm educating people, the more that I realize that it's really on an individual level that everybody's at. And it really helps, that little like personal touch really helps to just kind of like guide you, like, okay, this is where you live. This is the most local place to get it from. This is how much you want to incorporate it in. So if you could just, if you're really interested in trying it, just give me a call and make an appointment with me, and I can kind of customize to you what would be the best way to get started, so that it's something that works with your schedule and your price range and all that stuff. But regardless, it could be pennies on the dollar. You can just go to, the easiest way to start is go to ShopRite or the local supermarket and get a bag of lentils and start sprouting those. That should be $2 and you're ready to sprout.
Cool. Okay. This is from Jerry. She says, from Randy. She says, I'm taking a forks over knives cooking class. My pho recipe I need to make calls for bean sprouts. I can't find them. Will any sprout substitute be okay?
Yeah. You also can make them yourself. Just go, I have a little bit of a sprouting kit. Well, first of all, if you don't have time and you have to do it right now, then yeah, any sprout will be okay. It will definitely change the flavor of it, but it'll be okay. But if you want specifically mung bean or lentil sprouts, you can get seeds from my website. I have like a beginner sprouting kit that has broccoli, radish, lentil, and mung bean seeds. And it's like $50 or something like this. And that'll be enough seeds to last you for a long time. And then with those mung bean and lentil seeds, that's what you would be using. I would think for this recipe, mung bean would be really good, because they're like sweet and they're squishy and hydrating and like a very mild flavor. So it would be good in a faux tuna like that. Yeah.
Nice. Thanks. And here's a question from Riri. I was growing cilantro and parsley inside the house and it attracted lots of gnats. Is there a way to prevent that?
You can have a net around it. But ultimately it probably has to do with the humidity level in your house, in your kitchen. So just make sure that the humidity level is down, and you can do that by putting a dehumidifier in if you want, or also by putting directing a fan down onto the floor so that it creates air circulation in the room. And when you do that, it dehumidifies the room, creates air circulation, and less heat for the gnats to like be attracted to.
Great. Well, so many people in the chat are saying they'd like to learn. Do you ever teach like group classes? That might be a good idea.
Okay, so this was coincidental, but tonight I am leading a live Zoom about wheatgrass, microgreens, sprouts, and how they're the foods of the future, how to get started, and how to do the 21-day greens challenge. But we have a really, really special guest, Viktoras Kulvinskis. Have you ever heard of Viktoras Kulvinskis?
I absolutely have. He's a famous raw fooder.
Still alive. Yep, he's still alive. He's a living legend. He is one of the first founders of the raw food movement, and he is the author of Survival in the 21st Century, which is like a health food Bible from 1975 that talks about how to survive in the 21st century. And the first like 150 pages is about sprouts and wheatgrass and microgreens. And the second 150 pages is about yoga and meditation and like calming the central nervous system, which are absolutely like the two most important things for us that we need right now. Because if there's anything that we're lacking in the 21st century, it's nutrition and being able to have control over our central nervous system. So he was spot on back then, and we are having him speak tonight live on Zoom. So I can put the link to the Zoom.
Could you please send it to me as soon as possible? Because people here are very interested and would like to register.
Yeah, totally. Also, you can find me on Instagram. Perfect Foods Inc. on Instagram is where I am. So if you have any questions for me personally, I answer that immediately. So that's my Instagram page, is Perfect Foods Inc. And again, also on my website, you can make an appointment with me. So that's the way to contact.
And what time is the class tonight? And if you can get it to me like right after the class, this isn't a class, the show, I can add it to the show notes. What time is the class?
So it's 7:30 p.m. Eastern time tonight.
That would be 4:30 Pacific time.
Yep.
That's amazing.
You should come. I wish I could get.
Well, I teach from 4 to 5, but I can come for the last half hour. I'd love to see him. Where does he
and also
now?
It's going to be a Q&A. So like you get to ask any questions that you want to him. And he's just like this savant.
Like I said, I will join. I have a weekly commitment, 4 to 5 p.m. Pacific time. But as soon as the class is over, I'll jump over. I would love to watch him. I've heard of him, never met him. Where is he living now and what is he doing?
So he has like, some retreats that he does. He bops between Hawaii and Costa Rica, and he's retired. He's just like living his life, enjoying his life and healing people. He's totally a giver. Like I asked him I have this series. I did one last week with him this week, and I think I'm going to do another one next week. And I asked him if he wanted me to charge people for it, because like, I think people would pay for it since he's such a wonderful speaker. And he said, no, I just want this to be a free thing to educate people. Like that's his primary mission right now, because he thinks it's so important for people to know about sprouts and wheatgrass.
That's really wonderful. I'm so glad that this happened and you brought this up to me now. So I want to ask you a question, and I don't ever want to be like rude to my guests or controversial, but I'm really curious, because we talked about like protein powders not really being good, not found in nature. So why do you have coconut oil? It is not a natural food. You couldn't make it in your own kitchen. Good
question. I think this is a really good question. So my general philosophy with health, I don't really have coconut oil that much. It was something that I learned from a holistic psychiatrist that was talking a lot about the importance of having high fat in the morning. And it was something that I was playing around with at the time that I thought would be interesting. And I also really actually don't ever have it. It was just like, but I did put it in my original recipe. But I think also generally my philosophy with eating is to like do the best that you can. But you're right. It's not, I would say definitely coconut oil is not something that I prescribe. It's not in my cleanse. It's not in anything. It's just something that like, I don't think that is the worst thing in the world to have every once in a while. But that neither is, chocolate or coffee, but you definitely don't want to have it. Like, you could say that about anything. So I appreciate you calling me out on that, because it's not really, I agree with you. It's not really something that you should be having.
I mean, just because everything you do is so natural, and like sprouts to me is the epitome of nature, and like any processed oil is, because think about it. I went to culinary school, and it took a long time to even learn how to open a coconut. And it's one of the most difficult things to do, and it's so highly processed. And I'm not against people having fat, but why not have it in its whole food form?
And avocado and Whole Foods. Totally.
Yeah, why not put an avocado in that smoothie? See, that I could go for, and then it would make it a beautiful green. But anyway, thanks for not being upset with me, because I don't really like to challenge people. At all.
You're right. You're really right. And I think that and also I like even the way that you brought it up, I think this is a good learning moment for everybody too, because especially in this industry, especially in the raw foods industry, people have these rules, and it's sort of aggressive against other people if they don't do it exactly the same way. But it's so important to just have open, casual, and like respectable conversation about, hey, how come you do that? It doesn't really make sense to me. And then I'm like, you're right, actually, I really shouldn't talk about it like that anymore. Because that makes, I mean, obviously usually it wouldn't be live, but who cares? Like, it's just about showing how important it is that this community is together rather than against each other. Because I think a lot of times, like, people are very aggressive, you know, with the way that we communicate, especially on social media and on Facebook, that it's like, if you say this, then I don't like you anymore. But why not just like have a conversation about why you think it's good or bad, and either agree to disagree, or, you know, come or actually help somebody to come to another place. I just feel like it's an important thing to mention, because I really notice it a lot in the community, especially in the health community, that people think that like they're better than other people. And it's something that really bothers me. So like, I really stand for, in my community that I teach, being open and just meeting people where they're at and not judging. So I hope that that resonates with you too.
Yeah, no, I think it's great. And I'm glad I asked. So
Yeah.
back to the questions. Dina said, I accidentally combined sprouting seeds with microgreen seeds. What should I do to get this combo to sprout? Will it sprout?
Well, what seeds are they? Because yeah, what seeds are they? If it's like, if you mean sprouting seeds like lentil and mung bean, and also broccoli seed, and also like sunflower seeds, then you can actually sprout sunflower seeds, but they're gonna just like come a little tiny tail, and then you're gonna have to take the hull off of it. So it's not really ideal. You can't just like eat them. You have to like take the hull off of each one. But if you could put in the comments what seeds they are, then I can help you further.
Okay, great. Dina, if you're still here, please add them and we'll get back to your question. And in the meantime, we'll ask Roseanne's question. Are there any concerns with salmonella, etc., when sprouting?
There was a few articles and incidences, maybe like 6-7 years ago, with E. coli and broccoli sprouts from store-bought commercial broccoli sprouts. But that's because like bacteria can grow in a commercial environment. If it's like, if you find it one place, then it can go everywhere and like be a problem. But when you're growing it in your house, the possibility of that and the probability of that being a problem is so low that it's not something that I would worry about at all. And the best way to make sure that there's no bacteria that's built up is to use this. Hang on 1 second. Is to use a strainer. So if you guys have a finely holed strainer like this, like really, really finely holed, this is my favorite tool for sprouting. There's like, you know, the trend is to use a jar with a sprouting cap, some type of thing to like drain it and flip it over. But I actually prefer to use this because you can actually spin and turn the seeds around like this and let them breathe, rather than being in the jar where they're just kind of like sitting there and more bacteria can build up. If you have them, if you let the broccoli seeds sit here, and then you can rinse them in the, you know, you can rinse them twice a day just in here and leave them in the colander, then you can just move them around with your hands like this and allow for everything to be rinsed properly, rather than just sitting in the bucket. So that's a good tool and tip to make sure that you don't have any bacteria built up.
Great, thank you. And here's a question from Stephen. What is your opinion when deciding between the Fresh Life Sprouter or the Terracotta GEO?
This is my opinion. Keep it simple, baby.
That's neither, right? Yep. That's cute. Okay. Suzanne is saying that she keeps a jar of apple cider vinegar with a Ziploc in it, cuts a hole at the bottom and attaches it with an elastic bag, and it catches fruit flies. Maybe that would work with gnats.
Yeah.
But does that kill him? Because you know how JP would be. He doesn't like killing anything. You know JP, John Pierre?
Yeah.
He would not approve.
I think that gnats, it's funny because we don't have that problem at all at our plant, at our growing facility.
Yeah.
So it's a good question. I actually don't know the answer because I've never had that problem.
Okay,
Could be the
great.
environment. Where do you, if you put where you live, that could be what it is.
Yeah. So Gina says, I eat sprouts, but I'm not crazy about them. I'm just curious, and it seems like everyone seems to like them. So maybe she hasn't found the right flavor for her because they all taste different. I mean, radish sprouts taste completely different than alfalfa sprouts, for
Totally.
example.
So if you don't love sprouts yet, then I would try sunflower. If you've never had the sunflower microgreens, these are like by far everybody's favorites. But also try them in smoothies. So I wanted to share this smoothie, but also like my go-to smoothie that's the easiest is just frozen berries. So like frozen blueberries, strawberries, and raspberries with sunflower or broccoli microgreens in a blender and water or coconut water or whatever. And that's it. It's just berries and greens and water, maybe a half of a banana if you want to get crazy. But that is super easy. And again, and it has this like vibrant red color. You can't taste the greens. And that if you don't love sprouts, that's the best way to get them in. Throw them into a smoothie.
Nice. Okay, good idea. You know, it's funny because sprouts, you can get them. I know, of course, ideally you want to grow your own, but it's better to eat store-bought sprouts than not eat sprouts. Would you agree?
Totally.
Yeah. And I mean, every store has them now. Like I've seen them at Winco. They have like every flavor at Winco. They have broccoli and alfalfa. And it's like, I mean, Winco's like just a regular store.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. I think that it's really blowing up. I think that the consciousness is getting at a higher level. People are realizing that they need to have it. And also there's a lot of growers around the country that are doing this, you know, like we were the original growers 40 years ago, but a lot of people are popping up with smaller businesses around just doing it locally. But I think it's really good to have us as a base, as like this kind of like base foundation, because we're not going anywhere. And these smaller companies, you don't know if it's somebody just doing it for a hobby for a short period of time, or that's a lot of what's going on is like these small companies, it's just like, you know, people doing it for some extra cash. And then like they go and they find another venture. Cause I've seen a lot of people do it locally, like in New Jersey and New York, and they go in and out of business like quite frequently. So yeah, it's just good to have us as like a backup if and when. And also we have a raw vegan cleanse too. So we send you like a shipment of wheatgrass and microgreens and sauerkraut, raw vegan sauerkraut and raw vegan crackers and everything that you need to do a raw vegan cleanse. So we give you like a meal plan and a shopping list and make it easy to successfully do a raw vegan cleanse at home. And then once you do that and like you see the golden standard of it, then you can go ahead and find your local people and like cultivate how to do this long term. But it's good to get like the original education from you know the OGs.
The OG. That's how I feel about veganism. I'm the OG.
You are the OG.
I know.
Oh my God,
45 years. It's crazy. You know, it's
and
crazy.
Everybody knows you, you know, oh my gosh, I want to tell you the funniest thing. Oh my gosh. I never got to tell you this. So, I went to the Institute, to the Optimum Health Institute that I was talking about on the first time that we did a workshop this December, I think. And I go in there and this woman comes over to me and she gives me this big hug. And she's like, oh my gosh, you're famous. I just saw you on Chef AJ. And I was like, what? And she was like, you're the reason why I came here because I saw you on Chef AJ. And she said that she literally was just talking about me in like in the beginning circle about how like the only reason why she came was because she saw this girl on Chef AJ talking about it.
That's hilarious. You know, I've had Steve Middleman on the show and he's been in the movie Roxanne. He's been on the Tonight Show and he gets recognized for being on Chef AJ.
Chef AJ, 100%.
Thank you. That's wonderful. I've been to Optimum Health Institute twice. I went there first July 6, 2003 to the campus in Lemon Grove near San Diego. That's how I got off sugar. That's the last day I had sugar.
I grew up going there, yeah.
Yeah, July 6, 2003, I had the cab driver pick me up at the San Diego airport, take me to 7-Eleven. I had my last Coke Slurpee and my last Dr. Pepper. And boy, was that rough, detoxing from sugar with that
you
place.
Started your whole journey from Optimum Health Institute?
Yeah, because I didn't have internet then. I don't even know when internet started, but if it was available in 2003, I certainly didn't have a computer because I hadn't heard about the True North Health Center, which would have been probably as good of a place to go, but it was an incredible experience. And I thank them for getting me off sugar, because I mean, I knew sugar was bad, but there was no support for that at the time. Like even my medical doctor said, oh, it's not bad, you know, or in diet soda is not bad. And I learned everything I learned really about that food is either creating disease or creating health. It can't do both. Yeah. And that even though I had followed a vegan diet for 26 years before going to Optimum Health, all I ate was junk food vegan. You know, Coke Slurpees, Dr. Pepper, French fries, potato chips, candies, cakes, cookies, pies, and ice cream, all vegan. And that's how I got to be 200 pounds and have precancerous polyps. And so I really thank them so much. I learned so much there. And I never finished. I feel bad. I never did the whole 3 weeks. I couldn't take that much time off work. I did my second week at the smaller campus, which was in Austin, which was, there's pros and cons to both, because the big
I've never been to that one. Were you going to say that you like that one better?
Well, no, I like them both better for different reasons. If you are an extrovert, definitely go to the San Diego one, because there was like 300 people there. You will make so many friends.
Yeah.
And I remember that I was there in the summer and there were people there. I don't know anything about sports, just so you know, but there were people there from a local football team. I think it was the San Diego Chargers, because they needed to drop weight quickly. There were celebrities. There were people from all over the world, because they could accommodate a lot of people. But the Austin campus, I think, was only 20 people. So it was a little bit quieter. It was they're both good. You know,
it's more comfortable. Yeah. So I was there. I was at the Optimal Health Institute in San Diego. I just plugged in my computer. I was at the San Diego one in December when it was still like COVID. So it was much smaller than what probably you remember. And that was really cool because it was just like a small group. Everybody is lovely. But also just like, you know, to say, you said that you didn't get to do the full 3 weeks. That's like really the whole point of my raw vegan cleanse, is for people who can't afford to take time off and go. People who also can't afford the amount of money, because it's like $2,500 a week to go there. So to help people to do this.
Wait, you said it was $2,500 a week?
Yeah.
It was it went up. It used to be like $800 a week for Optimum Health.
When did you go?
Well, 2003. You really? You're serious? It's gone. I gotta Google that. That can't be right.
Yeah,
really?
That's right.
All right, I'm gonna Google it while you talk. I remember paying like $875 both times, and I thought, this is great. This is like the cheapest vacation I'm ever gonna get.
Definitely. So it depends. I think maybe on like the times, but yeah, it's expensive. I mean, it's not even expensive, actually. Like, I'm not trying to bash them at all. Like, everybody who can get there should go. Like, they are the least expensive of all of the places, and they're a nonprofit. So like they are doing the bare minimum to get you healthy. I mean, they're doing the maximum for the bare minimum. Like, they are not getting rich by doing this by any means.
Well, I just Googled it, and it's saying the room rate is $175 a night, and True North is $149 a night. So,
but it's for the full. All right, do your own research. Don't mark my words on it. We paid a lot of money though.
Like you say, maybe it depends where you go, what kind of room you get. So
maybe we were during holiday season. That could be, because we were there during Christmas.
Oh, sure. Yeah, that's gonna be more.
That could be. Yeah. It probably depends on the periods of time that you're there. But again, my point being is that totally, if you can afford to go, and it's the least expensive of all the places, and my number one recommendation, my favorite place of all, is Optimum Health Institute. You can't get better than them. You really can't, because it's like a family there, and also you're on vacation. So when you're trying to do this at home, it's really hard. And that's why, like, the program that I created, it still never will match that, because you have to make all the food yourself and you're not on vacation. But at the same time, when you leave those programs, a lot of times people don't know what to do in order to sustain it. So what I did was, I saw so many people yo-yo going up and down and back and forth and back and forth, and like just going for a week to the Optimum Health Institute and then going off, and then going for a week to the Optimum Health Institute. So like, my goal is to help people to do this for a lifetime and learn how to incorporate good things into their diet always. So like, I give you meal plans and shopping lists and like structure and the support that you need to actually do it. Like, even Lissa says that like the key to being consistent with this is meal planning. So if there's anything that you take from it, is to learn how to get organized, like on a Sunday, and like meal plan and meal prep for the week. And that's what I help you with. I give you the exact recipes, and like we send juicers and all of that jazz. So it's just it's just like an absolute necessity, something that we realized was an absolute necessity.
Yeah, it's sort of like True North. People go and they fast and they do great and they come back to their old environment and go back to eating the same food and the results don't stick. So that's important. So Apple says, I used to work at a sprout farm when I was in high school. I think it was a cult, the farm, not the high school. You know, Dr. Alan Goldhammer, that was his first job. He would grow and sell sprouts. Isn't that
Did you just
interesting?
say I think it was a cult?
Yeah, no, the farm. Yeah, that's what she said. Not her high school. So that's interesting
But
because that Dr.
still, that's
Goldhammer,
funny.
yeah, he's so successful and his first job was selling sprouts. Okay, so Dina got back to us and she said it was arugula seeds and broccoli seeds.
That's fine. Those two can be sprouted together. Sprout them together and plant them together in soil.
Nice. Susanna says, what are some other uses of sprouts besides smoothies?
Salads. You throw them into, make big salads with like red cabbage. And I'm making I'm going to be selling a microgreen salad now with sunflower, pea, broccoli, sunflower seeds, raisins, and balsamic vinegar, which is just the balsamic vinegar. And ideally I'm going to be having like a raw vegan dressing that I can have, but that's just like a very simple idea for a salad. You can put them on top of your avocado toast, or you can put them into a juice. So you can make a juice with pea and sunflower. Those juice really well with cucumber and celery and ginger. And yeah, or you can just snack on them. Like I literally just go around and every time I'm with my friends, I have a bag of sunflower sprouts or lentil sprouts and I'm crunching.
You can add them to a salad and like a sandwich. I meant a sandwich.
Yeah, sandwich. Yeah. A veggie burger. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Okay, so well, here's a question. I think I might be able to answer it, but let's see what Summer first wants to know, is the Pina Colada sprout smoothie recipe on your website?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
You can go to info and recipes and it's right there.
Okay, so I'll get that for you, Summer, because her website is linked below in the show notes. So I'll just try to get that more obvious in the show notes. So Kathy wants to know, why are broccoli sprouts so special over other sprouts? I've heard broccoli sprouts can help the COVID vaccine assimilate into your body better. Take 24 hours before is what I heard. I did a whole show on this with, I don't know if you know, Dr. Jed Fahey, all about phytonutrients.
Totally.
I'll let you answer that,
I would rather not on COVID because I don't know.
I meant not that part. The question of why are broccoli sprouts so special? Not about
okay. Yeah, because the part about COVID, I don't know, and I don't know.
No, I didn't mean for that part of the question.
Yeah.
It was her comment on that. Why? Because we always hear about sulforaphane from Dr. Will B and things like that.
Totally. Okay. So Dr. Jed Fahey and Taleli, they did a research in the 90s about sulforaphane, and specifically in broccoli and cruciferous vegetables, finding it to have anti-cancer properties. So they found that broccoli in particular had the highest level of sulforaphane, which is a chemical compound that it has anti-cancer properties and cancer-fighting properties. So they were like, all right, what can I find that has the highest level of this specific compound, sulforaphane? And they realized that the sprout has 40 times the amount of sulforaphane as the adult broccoli. So they were like, well, why don't we just use the sprout then if we can get that much more in this baby plant? So that is the reason why they found there's so much research and there's so much hype about broccoli sprouts, is because they have the highest level of sulforaphane, which of course is like the specific active ingredient to fighting cancer. Sulforaphane also has had studies done on other psychiatric disabilities, so autism, anxiety, and bipolar, things like this, and also inflammation and overall just supporting the immune system. So there has been done a lot of research on broccoli sprouts specifically because they knew what the active ingredient was, which was sulforaphane. But that being said, all of the other sprouts, I believe, are just as powerful in their own ways. There just hasn't been as much research on them because they don't know what the active ingredient is. So just keep that in mind when you're looking at research, that's kind of like the rule of thumb always, is they're only going to really focus on and put their money into studies that they know that they can capsule and make money off of, which they do make sulforaphane capsules. So that's kind of why they put their focus and time on broccoli sprouts. But I believe that all of them are good. I'm curious what your statement is on that.
Yeah, I don't, that's exactly what you said. And Dr. Jed Fahey talked about his research, and I'd much rather have people eat it than, take supplements. You know what I mean?
So you had him on live?
No, yeah, he was on. I can tell you the date of the show. Yeah, he was on live. We did a whole show, and that's what he. I'll link to it. But he talked about this. Yeah, yeah.
You were the coolest, Chef AJ. You were really the coolest. Like, I want to know about you, but I don't know if we want to talk about that on the show.
so yeah, he knows a lot about that because, like you said, he did that research, and before we leave the subject of optimum health, I want to say that it's the only place where you really can talk about like pooping a lot, like people you just met, because they have you do these colonics, these wheatgrass, well, not colonics, enemas. BNIs, they call, and you're giving yourself wheatgrass enemas.
Oh, and I love that you're just like an Optimum Health Institute, like Jewish lady. Like, I feel like we're.
Yeah, I mean, it's like they make it normal to talk about that. But, I never developed a taste for the wheatgrass or the Rejuvelac there. Like, I loved the other food, the seed cheese, the juices, the salads, but I just never could really wrap my head around, or my taste buds around, the Rejuvelac and the wheatgrass.
So Rejuvelac is interesting because they don't serve that at Hippocrates Health Institute, which is the other raw food institute that's in the US that's really popular. They don't serve Rejuvelac at all. And that's because the CEO, the president, Brian Clement, says that he doesn't really care for it himself, just like you. So he doesn't make other people have it. And I think that he suggests to have probiotic pills and to have sauerkraut, fermented sauerkraut, and kimchi in replacement of that, which is something that we also do in our cleanse. I don't have people do sauerkraut. I mean, I don't have people do Rejuvelac, which those of you who don't know what Rejuvelac is, it's fermented wheat seed drink. So it's like the wheat seeds sprouted or quinoa seeds sprouted, and then you just let them ferment in water in the refrigerator for a few days, and you have a drink that is a probiotic. But it is kind of like a soury flavor. So yeah, if you don't want that sauerkraut, we have this amazing sauerkraut. It's a red cabbage and a turmeric one. Both are really, really good. It's like my favorite sauerkraut because I always like to have like really low sodium, and it's hard to find low sodium sauerkrauts. So if you're looking for a probiotic, we have a really good one. And as far as wheatgrass goes, totally, that's not the first time that I heard that people have trouble with wheatgrass. It's definitely something that can be challenging for people. You're supposed to have wheatgrass on an empty stomach.
And it always upset my stomach, always. And how can wheatgrass be gluten-free? Because I'm gluten intolerant. It always upset my stomach. And every time I tried green powders, they always upset my stomach. They always have barley and stuff like that.
Yeah, so I don't know if it's necessarily the gluten that was upsetting your stomach, because even if you're not gluten intolerant, wheatgrass can upset your stomach. But we just talked about this with Victor, that wheatgrass is just like such a potent like green, that what it does is it like brings out the toxins from your stomach acid, and like just kind of like makes a problem. Like, that's what he was trying to explain, was that like it's almost like you're having, like, if you had too many supplements at once, like too many vitamins at once, and you can like throw up. Has that ever happened to you? Or like you feel nauseous by having too many supplements at once, or like a probiotic too quickly? That can happen if it's like too potent. So that's the same thing with wheatgrass. And if you really don't like it, I mean, I've noticed over the years that like there's all different types of people who have different responses. And if you absolutely don't like it, then don't force yourself to have it. Like, just have the other sprouts, have other greens, enjoy your life. But people who are sick and have tried a million things and that haven't worked, and they're like, I want to try wheatgrass, and they still have trouble with the flavor, but like they absolutely have to try it. Like, I've had a lot of people with Lyme disease or with cancer that like didn't like the flavor, but needed to push through because they saw it helping, like reducing tumors and reducing inflammation and stuff. Wheatgrass can be really powerful in that way. So if you absolutely need to drink it and you don't like the flavor, you can use cinnamon. That's something that they do at the Institute. So you take the shot of wheatgrass and you put cinnamon on your hand and you lick it like a tequila shot. or you put a little bit of pineapple. It's kind of like counter of what we teach, but at least it's getting you in. So like I said, pineapple is the antidote to all greens. So you have like a bite of pineapple with the wheatgrass and it completely cuts the flavor. Also like a bite of orange or a bite of apple or just drinking water. The other thing is when you're drinking wheatgrass, you want to swish it in your gums first. And when you swish it in your gums, the enzymes in your mouth and in your saliva break it down so that the flavor isn't as intense and also isn't as intense when you swallow it. So if you swish it around for like 30 seconds, it does help when you're digesting it too. Sorry, I feel like I'm giving you really long answers to your questions.
That's okay.
I just have a lot of information.
That is okay. Is the Optimum Health Institute oil-free? You bet, Amy. It's SOFAS-free. That's where I got that acronym. It's sugar-free, oil-free, flour-free, alcohol-free, salt-free, caffeine-free. It's free of all processed food. It absolutely is. Yep.
Yeah, it's free of everything. And that's the whole thing with raw is like you want to have the minimal sugar even, and that's in fruit too. So that's something that's a little bit like controversial is how much fruit to have. Like even this smoothie that I made with the pineapple and pear is something that you wouldn't get at the Optimum Health Institute because it's too high in fruit and sugar. But I think it's really important when you're at home doing it long term to enjoy the fruit and so that you can allow yourself to like do it long term. Because if you stop yourself from having fruit completely, it can be a challenge to continue, you know? What do you think about that?
Yeah, I think so. Yep.
Yeah.
Do you, I'm pretty sure you eat sprouts or microgreens every day, but do you eat them at every single meal?
Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much. I have them in the morning in my smoothie, in the afternoon in my salad, and in the evening in whatever meal I make. So I'm not necessarily raw. So if I make like some, sauteed veggies or sweet potato or whatever I make, I'm going to put sprouts on the side. It's always like a side piece to every meal that I have.
Yeah. Well, Susanna's saying, what do you typically eat in a day? So tell us how you incorporate all these sprouts.
Okay, cool. So on a good day, I'll have wheatgrass in the morning. Then I'll have a smoothie in the morning with the microgreens like almost every single day. So I'll take a nice big handful of sunflower or a clamshell of the broccoli, and I'll make a smoothie with the berries or with the pineapple and pear. And then for lunch, I'll have a nice big salad. So I'll put in the sunflower greens. I'll put in some red cabbage, maybe some cherry tomatoes, seeds, walnuts. And I like to make a tahini dressing. That's like my favorite. So I put tahini in with garlic and lemon. And I pour that on top. And then I'll sprinkle some lentil sprouts on top. And then for dinner, I'll have like, this is like day one of my cleanse, for example. Like this is what you would have if you were to do my cleanse. For dinner is a zucchini noodle dish with like a pesto. So you can put the snow pea shoots in the blender with basil and like pine nuts or hemp seeds and make a really delicious pesto and then put that on the zucchini noodles. So that's a lot of different ways that you can use them. Yeah. Also, you can juice them and make do a juice cleanse with them. So you can juice the snow pea shoots with celery and cucumber and things like that.
Nice. How long have you been vegan?
Like a few years. I think since
That's all? I mean, it sounds like you've been doing it forever.
I've been doing it forever, but I wasn't like vegan. It was just like mostly just like mostly, but never like fully. And now it's more like something that I really want to be doing because it's just something that I know how I feel when I eat other things. And it's just, I don't feel as good as when I eat plants, basically. So it was never something that I was like super strict about, but now I'm more strict about it. Yeah.
All right. Good for you. Dina says, I tend to gain weight when I drink smoothies. Is there a way around that? Or am I drinking it the wrong way? Why don't you just eat what's in the blender? Dr. Doug Lisle has talked about this, that smoothies are 12.5% more calorically dense because of the fact that you've reduced the volume. So you will, in a way, it's good to have smoothies if you're trying to get all that hypernourishment in, or people that can't get enough calories. But if you have a weight issue, you want to eat the food whole and not blend it.
Yeah, I like that. Also, it usually has to do with the fruit amount that you're having. So if you're going to have a lot of fruit and fat, so if you're putting a lot of like banana and avocado in, that's going to be a red flag for gaining weight. Also, if you're going to be having a lot of almond butter and banana and like peanut butter and banana and things like that, that's where you start to gain the weight. So just try and keep it to berries, low glycemic things, and greens. Berries and greens, and you won't lose weight and you won't gain weight.
That sounds great. Well, thanks. This was so much fun talking to you. And I'm so glad you brought up your Zoom tonight and invited everyone to join. If you can get us that link as soon as you get off the air. Sorry, my hair is just going crazy today.
I love it.
I've been needing a haircut. We can get more people to watch if that's something you're interested in, because I've never met Victor and I'd love to see him.
Yay. Chef AJ, you're the best. Thank you so much for having me.
Well, thank you. This was a lot of fun. And guys, this is your go-to for greens, microgreens, seeds. And thanks so much, Rebecca. Take care.
Bye.
All right. Enjoy your smoothie. And thanks to all of you for watching another episode of Chef AJ Live. Please come back tomorrow when my guest is Dr. Vanessa Mendez. She's going to be talking about IBS. She is a either triple or quadruple board certified doctor. And when we have a medical doctor on the show, you have to get your questions in advance. We can't take them from the chat. We already have so many sent in. So yeah, I'll ask her about some of this tomorrow and see what she thinks about all these sprouts and things like that. I bet you she's giving them a thumbs up.
Cool. I can't. I'm going to come and watch it.
All right, I got one more question, Susanna. Only because it's you, I'm going to ask it. What was it like growing up in a family in the sprouting business?
Good question. We were always the wacky kids. You know, my parents would give us vegetables and sprouts for lunch instead of like Lunchables. And instead of going to Disneyland, we would go to raw vegan retreats, and we'd always be the only kids there. You know, we would be going around in our scooters and like with walkie-talkies, like making trouble as little kids. So it definitely was different. And, but it was a total like gift because we got to learn what everyone's only like learning now the hard way. Like people got sick and then had to find it. We learned it just because we saw other people sick and healing themselves. So that's why I feel so passionate about doing what I'm doing, because I feel like I got such a big head start that like I want to help everybody to learn all of this information and see that food can be medicine and that they can heal themselves with food, because it's not something that most people were taught as kids.
Are your parents still around, and do they still sprout and eat sprouts? Or not?
Yes, so my parents, like I said, my brother and I just bought the business. My mom goes to Optimum Health Institute like every year. My dad drinks wheatgrass every single day. Twice a day. He's like really diehard about it. And he said that it's like single-handedly the thing that makes him still feel like young. He's like, when I started my business, I didn't really get it because I was young and healthy. So I didn't really feel that much of a difference. But now that I'm older, he's like 64 or something. He's like, now I get it. Like I need it. And when
older, 64, that's about what I am. That's not older.
He's older than he was. How about that?
I'm just kidding.
But I totally agree, by the way. Like all the people that I work with are like older than me, but it doesn't feel like any difference. It's just like age is just a number. It's like a soul connection for sure. But anyway, his point was like, he can now officially confirm what wheatgrass does when you get older as you age, because you feel the aches and pains and then you drink it and it reduces, or sprouts and all of these things. Eating healthy helps. Yep.
Mo is saying Dr. Christy Funk, who's the breast surgeon, swears by broccoli sprouts in the prevention of cancer.
Yeah, thank God there's so much research now on it so that we can really like confirm.
You guys were doing it before the research. You guys were ahead of your time.
Well, actually my mom, she would love it. My mom's name is Elise. I always refer to them as mom and dad, but they're like, why don't you ever say our names? They're like the founders of this whole thing. Harley Matsil and Elise Matsil. My mom, Elise, she started, she believes that it's because of her that Jed Fahey and Dr. Talali made the research on broccoli sprouts, because after she saw the research on broccoli and cruciferous sulforaphane, she sent them a letter saying, hey, sprouts are like really good. You should do research on sprouts. And then like a year later, they did the research on broccoli sprouts. So she's like, it was because of my letter, but they never responded to her. So we don't know, but that's like
I have his email. Do you want to ask him that? Well,
they'll never admit it.
Okay. Is anybody else in your family vegan?
My mom, she's very, very up there, like pretty much. Yeah. She tries her best to be like that. And her and I eat like pretty similarly. Yeah.
Nice.
But everybody else is just like, our whole house is like, I'll make smoothies in the morning and give it to everybody. When we have Friday night dinner for Shabbat, it's always like plant-based with salads and microgreens everywhere. So we're like kind of an oasis. And I have like plant-based potlucks here at the house where for all of my customers that are local. So we're just kind of like a healthy oasis for people, I think.
That's great. What part of New York are you in?
We're up in Goshen, New York. It's like an hour and a half up from Manhattan.
Wow, that's cool. So Mitch, we were going to say goodbye, but there's more questions, so we can't leave viewers hanging. Is there a benefit, Mitch asks, to having wheatgrass by itself versus mixing it into a juice such as cucumber or celery?
So wheatgrass is like kind of in its own like food department as far as digestion, and it digests a little bit quicker than other like fruits and vegetables according to Optimum Health Institute. So that's what they say, is that it's best to digest it on its own so it can go directly into your bloodstream. But if you are going to combine it with a juice, then I would say cucumber, celery, a little bit of green apple, and lemon and ginger would be the maximum. Definitely don't combine it with something like super sweet, like banana or something like that, because you definitely will feel sick from that.
Yeah, great. Well, thanks so much. And please, as soon as possible, you have my phone number. You can text me. I want to get that link in for the people. So guys, give us like 5 minutes in the link to tonight's Zoom with Victor. I always have trouble pronouncing his name. Cool. How do you say his last name?
Victoris Kulvinskis.
Victoris Kulvinskis. Yeah, he's considered like the father. He's considered like the father of raw food, and I think
He's
Sherry
the grandfather
Soria
of wheatgrass and raw foods. Like anybody who's watching this, please come tonight. This is like something that's unheard of. He hasn't done workshops or spoken in years, and like it's just a total gift. And we're doing it free, so just take advantage of this. And also, if you can't make it, just still register in the link that I'm sending, and you can get the replay. So just
that sounds good. I can't wait. Well, I will be there. I'll miss the first half hour, but I'll be there. And I thank you for offering this to the viewers.
Okay.
And Mo says, great presentation, Rebecca. Thanks, guys. Come back tomorrow. It's Dr. Vanessa Mendez and the #1 GI complaint, IBS. Take care, everyone. And I hope to